What is up, everybody? SaiyanSC back here with another replay cast from the ladder with your boy Shun. We're going to be taking a look at this player here in the top right, Ashley versus Action down here in the bottom right. Ashley, we've been discussing this player a little bit because, well, as they just talk shit back and forth, these guys, they seem to know each other. And we were trying to figure out where we knew this name Ashley from, and actually found out on Liquipedia that this is potentially Last, one of Last's IDs, his Smurf IDs. So we're not really sure. This is a very, very strong player. He's 2300 on ladder. If he's not Last, he's an incredibly, incredibly strong Terran.
Yeah, the way that he's communicating with Action makes me think that they do know one another, and this could very well be Last. And Last has a habit of getting under people's skins, Lava being one of the main targets of that, always getting frustrated with Last on the ladder and seemingly unable to ever get the better of him. So it would be interesting to see if Last can pull out some interesting tactics on Action and get under his skin in this game, maybe with a little bit of trash talk, maybe a little bit of a fancy tactical plays later on.
Yeah, Last has a storied history. He kind of dropped off the map, though. I think it was ASL 11, 10, something like that. Kind of gave up on the pro scene, but he's still an incredibly strong player. I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of kicking it on the ladder, you know, taking some games off of strong players. Action, though, is going to be a serious competitor here. He is in top form. He's been practicing for the ASL. You know, he's been playing in the ASL. This is not going to be an easy game for him.
Oh no, not at all. Like I would hope that Last, if this is Last, has been putting in a lot of hours, because someone of Action's caliber that has been putting in the hours and has been playing at that sort of ASL level caliber play, it's going to be really tough for him dealing with someone that has such a aggressive and also powerful style that is Action.
Yeah, Action is very aggressive, but he's also very, very strong in the late game. He's known as a macro Zerg and will take things into that super, super late game if you allow him to, and beat you down with Ultra, with all the late game tech that Zerg can desire. So far, Ashley, he's going ahead and in between typing, throwing down a second barracks here. Gonna be putting on some pressure in the early game.
Yeah, probably a 5-minute standard 2 racks timing pressure. Very, very, very typical in the meta right now. Do see, I think we're going to just, normal 2-hatch build coming out from Action. But he is throwing down the Creep Conley at 330, which makes me think he's a little bit suspicious of a possible 1-1-1 or 2-port Wraith build with the Vulture coming out early. So he is making a super safe Sunken to deal with any potential issues from Last.
Yeah, both Overlords got sent to the bottom left, so maybe Action spending a little bit too much time typing in this game and not enough time sending his Overlords in the correct direction. He's not going to get a scout of Ashley here unless he decides to send out a drone, and probably there's already going to be enough Marines to just deny that scout anyway. Yeah, so he just has no idea what his opponent's doing. Has to throw down that safety Sunken, and will just go here into Aspire from this position. Ashley sees everything inside the base. He knows where and what's going on. Having this Spire in the back here, usually you don't like to put the Spire in your natural, do you?
No, because if there are a lot of situations where you get Sunken busted, but the game's not going to be over, and you really don't want to have your tech in the natural for them to be able to kill, because there's a lot of situations we can sacrifice the natural and still go into a normal game from there. So having the tech in the natural usually is a bad thing, because it allows the Terran more win conditions once they Sunken break. But I think he's just doing that purely to mind game him on the exact timing of his build, so he doesn't know if it's a 2.5 hatch or just a normal 2-hatch build.
Right, there could be a hatchery out here somewhere on the map. Ashley just doesn't know about that. We've got a drone heading to the top left. I think there's going to be a hidden base up there somewhere, but you know, he hasn't been able to see this. Wow, okay, hold on. Action actually just throws down 3 Sunken colonies. Wow. Just kind of metagaming Ashley here. He knows exactly when this is going to come. He doesn't even see anything yet, but he just throws this down.
Yeah, I guess this fourth sunken is a safety sunken in case he commits and starts breaking the sunkens one at a time as they warp in. But I don't actually think it's the correct play to go 4. Maybe he actually misread Ashley's build and was worried about a much more stronger committal. He has no confirmation, I don't think, of exactly what Ashley's doing. Last that is, so yeah, I think that's a bit of a tricky situation. He's having to make 4 sunkens early, actually puts him a little bit behind.
All right, mutas are gonna pop here, kill off this SCV first and foremost, and then head across the map, see what damage they can do. But you're right, using these 4 sunkens here early game is gonna put a hole in Action's economy. It's gonna try and fill that hole with a third base here, I think, at the top left. You can see him just hiding this drone right now. He's waiting for enough money to pop that down. Behind this, what do we have here? A Queen's Nest and an Evolution Chamber coming up from Action.
That's crazy Zerg timing, so I think he's going to go crazy Zerg from here, and with the +1 air attack, it also more screams crazy Zerg thus far, though having this later expansion. Although I actually do, if he does make the expansion here, I really like it. I've made my third base against Terrans in this spot in some situations. It's a very good spot to place it, to really trick the Terran. They will not find it for a very long time. It's usually the last spot they end up checking on this map in these positions, so it would be a nice little spot for him to take to metagame, last a little bit.
This is a good move as well from Action. He went and found that SCV on the map and got rid of it. I think Ashley probably queued that up to wander all around and try to find any hidden bases. But because he picks that off, Ashley's not going to know about that for a long time. He will have to send out Marines later on to go and scout those bases, or just use scans to try and find out where that base is. For now, he's just going to be sitting here at home being really, really defensive. Action comes in, takes a couple of swipes, but losing Mutalisk for that. That wasn't a very good trade here. He's just going to keep wandering around the outside. These mutas are really only to buy time, though. He's going up into that Carapace and the Hive right away.
Yeah, he's only just now thrown down that third base, so it is a little bit late. So it's possible he might be tempted to throw in a little bit of Guardian tech going forward, maybe more for a few Guardians just to shut down mining in the natural, but not actually fully committing to it. I'm not 100% sure if he wants to go for that, or if he just still wants to go for that crazy Zerg style with a slightly delayed third gas.
A couple more barracks are coming up here right now, adding those on and going for 1 port here. Ashley, his follow-up is going to be a ton of Marines. Not going to be too much tech, though, right off the bat. No second eBay here either, so he may struggle against Ultralisk tech if that's indeed what Action is going for here.
I think it is. Yeah, okay, there's the Ultra Cavern. It definitely must be, because Action was spending so much time trying to snipe SCVs despite taking turret fire, and you usually only care about sniping SCVs when you're going for this sort of like late game transition into Ultras really quickly. But he is also doing what I thought he might do, and is also getting that Great Aspire, both as a little bit of a mind game and also maybe to shut down the mining a little bit in the natural expansion and kind of limit the tools that will be available to him in the later stages and going up against these Ultralisks. Because if he's making things like Wraiths and Valkyries to deal with the Guardians in his natural, he won't have the kind of vessel count that he needs to put the pressure on the Ultralisk later on.
Killing off quite a few SCVs, but still 46 here in the main and natural for Ashley. Action on the other side of the map. He doesn't have too many drones going for him right now, just 26. That third base is about to start the gas now. Coming up pretty darn late. 9 minutes, go on.
Last scanned the main and the natural, but the scan in the natural did not see the Great Aspire morphing, so he actually has no idea that these Guardians are on the way. He just thinks it's Ultralisks.
Just thinks it's Ultra, so yeah, he would have definitely switched into a Wraith here if he knew that Guardians were going to be coming, because you need a Wraith to deal with this. One Irradiate is not going to save you against, 4 or 5 Guardians over your natural, so this is going to be a bit rough for Ashley. Hopefully he gets a read on this soon and can start to pump out those Wraiths.
Yeah, he's going to instead be getting just some science vessels out, and that means he's only going to have like 2 Irradiates to handle these Guardians, which is not ideal, because he's probably going to make like roughly 3 to 4 Guardians if he so chooses, which will be really hard to clean up with the Irradiates once the Guardians are spread out. I'm not even sure if Action wants to commit to the Guardians. He might have even been just trying to mind game last into having to deal with those, but instead it's like, because he didn't scan it, the bluff didn't actually work for Action, so maybe a mind game gone a little bit awry for him there.
That's funny. Not going to make Guardians here. I mean, this is the perfect time to be pumping them out, but he's actually focusing on Ultralisk production and getting a fourth base here down at the 6 o'clock. Another hidden location. This is a great way to play out Crazy Zerg, especially on these really massive maps. You want to have some hidden bases to just only mining gas is all you really need. See 2 drones here at the top left mining those mineral patches. That's not really what he's there for. He just needs that gas geyser. So that he can really ramp up his ultra production, and he's managed to pump out 1 armor upgrade, but the second armor feels late. Did he start that right away? I don't think so.
It feels a little late, but not exponentially late. It is a bit, quite a bit behind the Terrans +2, so it does feel late. It does give a lot of window to the Terran to abuse the Zerg going forward with the delayed upgrade timing, yeah, but it's not going to be game winning necessarily, but it certainly puts Larssen in a good position going against these Ultralisks.
Ashley now with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 barracks is going to be pumping out an insane number of Marines here, and with that +2 finishing up, I think he's going to hit a nice little timing here where he may be able to bust through this sunken wall here. Only 4 sunken so far, and what is this, 6 ultra? I don't know if that's going to be enough to hold this back. That's so many Marines. Look at this trail here.
Yeah, we don't have the weapons upgrade finished for Ultras anytime soon, so the Marines with the armor upgrade will be tanking. Oh, nice Radiate going down on those pack of Mewers, but Action quickly splitting that Radiate Mewer out. Another Radiate going down. He needs to be... Oh, he's not reacting to it. Take a little bit of time. So all the Mewers are now softened up. They're a little bit weaker. He needs every bit of firepower that he can to make sure he can not die to this Bioball right now. So now he's going to start morphing Guardians in a bit of a panic to help defend against this. It might be a little bit too slow though. Only 4 Sunkens as the huge bust comes in. So much bio here. Looks about at least 4 control groups of Marines with medic support. So far, a lot of the Marines are going down. Beautiful medic block from Lars, going to reduce the surface area of these Ultras, but not quite good enough to get some contact. So we'll be able to clean out this force, it looks like, but there's a big stream of Marines coming down, so he could maybe pick off a couple of these Ultras as Action gets a little bit too aggressive. Poo moving out here, so taking some damage on his Ultras. Radiate goes down, unfortunately, on the lowest HP Ultra. A bit of a mistake from Lars there.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and irradiate some of these Guardians as well, but 4 Guardians plus the 4 Sunkens and a bunch of Ultra probably gonna be enough to hold on now. That was a close call, but Action seems to have held here. He also managed to pick off one of these Science Vessels, which is a big win as well. This other one very, very low on HP. Could get picked off if it's not careful. And Action continues to hold on. He's got 4 gases running and rolling here as Ashley tries to pull the trigger and go in once again. Ultras are a little slow to run to the front line. A bunch of the Sunkens actually die immediately, and that's a lot of the DPS lost here for the Zerg army. Gonna run forward, try to kill these Science Vessels. Looks like one of them went down. Another one gonna fall here, but the Ultras are falling very, very quickly. Just about out of those units. Yeah, all of them are gone here. Action, just 1 Ultra left and 1 Guardian is gonna lose his natural here, and Ashley gonna keep pushing forward for the win. Wow, what a bust.
Yeah, it's a great bust. I mean, the armor just kicked in just now, like a few seconds ago, so it's really well timed and executed from Lars. This is one thing that Lars does so good, is really understanding how to abuse some very key critical timings just before they get their power spike. And that's one thing that you see these great Terrans do, is really exploit these small timing windows that the Zerg have to get themselves set up.
Yeah, and Action not even building anything extra. You know, didn't go for a Nidus network or anything. He's still popping out Ultras and fighting with these Marines as they come up this ramp into the main base, but after losing that natural, it's going to be very, very hard to recover. It looks like another base over here in the center left has gone up. He's going to try and mine a little bit of gas from that location with 2 more Ultras popping. He's actually starting to clean this up. There's not many Marines left. The DPS is pretty low. They do take 3 hits to kill each Marine, 4 hits actually, excuse me, with the medics healing them. So it still takes a long time to clean up, but that's all for the Marines here. Just pure medic now on this high ground, and they will all be cleaned up.
Yeah, last actually wasn't really macroing behind that, kind of gloating in his position. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of times the Zerg's natural gets completely blown up like this. But look, the game can still go on. It's perfectly fine sometimes for the Zerg to sacrifice their natural in situations like this, which is another reason why you don't want that Spire in the natural. Looks like Last hasn't identified it and killed it yet, but that's a bit of a problem because if he does kill that Spire, then we can't make things like Scourge to deal with these vessels and such. So ideally, you'd want to have that Spire somewhere else.
All right, Ultras are going to come out here and get on top of these Naked Marines. Finishing them off, kind of reducing that bio count is really important at this moment. +3 is about to finish here for Ashley, and he's getting in there to stop the base in the bottom center as well. 4 more Ultras. A harem of medics here with this one single Marine. Be picking off a ton of these drones, but oh, the one Ultra does arrive. Oh!
Oh, look at the block. Oh, that's so frustrating.
That's so annoying.
So annoying.
Bunch more Marines are going to come here and join the party. Getting in on this drone buffet down here at the bottom center. 2 Ultras here, but no medics with this. He might actually be able to clean this up. It's going to be close.
Yeah, +3's done. So we're now at an upgrade disadvantage. +3 Carapace only just now started for action, so he's going to be fighting at a deficit for quite some time. Going to be a little bit tough for him losing some of these gas bases. As long as he can keep a few of them online, it's going to be fine. He can still pump out enough Ultras that he needs. But now with the 3rd base coming online for the Terran, he's going to have enough resources to combat this sort of whack-a-mole style that he has to play to kill all these bases around the map. It does kind of force him out of position to kill these bases. So if the Zerg did have a big presence of Ultras out on the map, that would be a problem, but being able to reduce the Ultra count over and over again has kind of reset Action's army enough that he has a pretty good map control and doesn't have to worry about Action dealing with his forces, dealing with these bases on these proxy locations around the map.
Yeah, and actually, he's just getting into the top left, realizing how many moles he has to whack at this point. There's so many bases around the map that have just sprung up. Action sucking up those gas resources and then running away from the position once the Marines arrive to clear them out. Looks like kind of forgotten about Marine Force down here at the bottom center. Should be killing off more bases around the map. Meanwhile, another attack coming here. Just pure Naked Marines running up to this natural. Gonna get slaughtered by the Ultra that's popping out here. That's a big mistake from Ashley, but his mineral bank is huge. Has so many barracks here. He's going to be able to pump out a massive force of Marine Medic.
One thing I would like to note is during all of that, Action had an irradiated Ultra in the 3rd base of Last and actually evened out the worker count because that irradiated Ultra killed so many SCVs.
We definitely missed that. Now we've got more Ultras coming in. Another radiated Ultra dealing quite a bit of damage to these SCVs. Meanwhile, bottom left-hand corner, Ashley is picking off a base here. But still more bases popping up around the map. We've got this base in the top left. This one at the natural in the top left. We still have this one with quite a bit of gas. Oh, actually, almost mined out at this point. 300 gas left on that. But the other 2 are definitely still having a lot of gas left over. The natural is now mining as well. So we're on like 5 gas income right now for Action. He should be able to pump out a ton of Ultras and start to put the pressure back on Ashley here. Maybe find this group of Marine and Medic out on the map that's been whack-a-moling its bases and finish it off.
Yeah, he's going to engage with these Ultras outside the rally point of Last, but meanwhile there's a huge stream of Marines going to be moving over to that 9 o'clock position, so not only is he going to get his Ultras taken out, but he's now going to be unable to defend the space at the 9 o'clock, so I think Action will slowly start to fall apart here. I don't see the critical mass of Ultras he needs to keep fighting this Bio army. Once the Bio force reaches a certain critical mass, it becomes much harder to fight with Ultras, especially without Plague or Swarm support, so far I would say this is looking like last game of getting his bases shut down like this. He can't quite get those huge amount of Ultras that he needs to keep fighting, and it's such a huge vessel count now. Look at that Eraser Trick in the top left, going to be shutting down more of the economy of Action as well.
And with Action slowly fizzling out here, running out of gas bases to mine on the map, it looks like Ashley is going to end up taking this game. Look at that 3,000 gas bank. He could make a ton of battle cruisers right now.
Right, and with that, because he took that natural third as his third, that action that is in the top left, he only has 3,000 gas on it, so we can only mine that base for 10 minutes before it becomes depleted. So now he's got like nothing. He's only got his main and natural gas. His main gas is depleted. He's got his gas in the top left that's now being shut down. So he's being reduced more and more on the gas that he has accessible to him, whereas the Terran has only grown in what gas he has accessible to him. Does have this command center in the top left that got slowed down by this Ultras, but now we'll be able to land that as well.
Yeah, it's taking so many hits for these Ultras to actually kill anything. And he really needed that +1 attack. But just not able to sneak it out this game. And now coming in for the final attack here. Ashley going to try to break through this natural area. Bringing up another group of Marines here from the side. It's a little bit too many Ultras, so he will have to regroup here after all of these Marines have been taken out and find another way to break this. Action.
Nope.
Trying to throw down another base at 6 o'clock. It's probably not going to end up working, though.
There's 12 science vessels, so I mean, he could just come in here and start irradiating everything. There's not even enough Scourge to deal with this, so he could irradiate all those Ultras and then do razor tricks on what drones are remaining in those bases for action. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare situation for him, getting all his Ultras irradiated before they can even connect with the Terran. This isn't the ideal situation for Terran, being able to irradiate the Ultras while they're away from any bar units, so they can't get that double dip effect of using themselves as AoE damage to clear up the rest of the Marines.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to lose half the HP on your Ultras just to a spell. Spend a lot of time building up the gas resource to actually purchase all of these Ultras. They're supposed to do a lot of work for you, but once they've been irradiated a couple of times, they just don't have that punch anymore. They don't have that. The armor really doesn't matter. And the Marines are just able to dice right through them now. Ashley is losing the 12 o'clock right now. Action is breaking through this location. There's still a lot of Marines out there, and there's still a ton of money in the bank, but Ashley being a little bit lax here and finishing off Action could end up biting him in the butt. 1,900 resources, but he's not producing anything with his barracks. There we go. He's starting to light them up once again. He has the base here at the third, but the natural is mined out and the main as well. So he's got to get 12 o'clock up and running here pretty shortly. Otherwise, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Action's done a really good job of starting to thin out that vessel count a little bit. It was up to 12, and now it is down to 7, and did do a good job of somehow squeezing out quite a few Ultralisks in the process. But I think he's just now dried up, though. I don't see how he can keep pumping out these Ultralisks at this rate. He's going to lose this base in the top left. It's already depleted, so it's not a huge gas mining base, but there was quite a few drones mining minerals there that would have helped him get more bases online soon. So it's a little bit frustrating for Action. He's going to send another drone down to the 6 o'clock base to start mining there, probably some more drones out to mine there and start taking more bases around the map as well. Ultralist checking the bottom left quadrant, make sure there's nothing down there to prevent an expansion going up. He needs to get something done soon. He's not quite able to squeeze out enough Ultralists to put on any more pressure, but he might have enough Ultras to fight the army if it does come across the map in a bit of a piecemeal way. Like, Lars has been a little bit lazy with his bio control, so if he can exploit that, maybe something can be done here, but it's going to be rough for him. There's a lot of bio moving down, and he's currently like 60 supply to 150. It's going to be really rough defense for him.
All right, Action gonna engage with this bio force. There's a lot of medics here kind of blocking things up right now, and the bio is getting some pretty good connections. There is +1 attack now finished for the Ultras, but GG is called with all those defense matrix going down on the Marines. Action no longer able to hold on. He taps out, and the last, aka Ashley, takes that win. Okay, here's the rematch, you guys, for Action versus Ashley, aka Last, probably. We're not 100% sure on that, but this may be the legendary Terran player who kind of dropped off the scene last. They're talking shit once again, plenty of talk back and forth between these two. After that last game, I think there was a couple of games in between, and then they matched up right on again in ladder. This is played at about the 2300 level, so at the very tippity top of the ladder, these guys facing off once again here. Let's see what Action can bring to the table.
But one thing I noticed in the last game during the Smack talk was after Last started winning the game and Action started talking to him, I saw Last mention an MMR score of 2700. I think he was trying to tell Action that he's actually a 2700 level player, which would be someone of Last caliber. Like all pro gamers can get 2700 plus.
Yeah, not a small feat, that's for sure. 2700 is pretty ridiculous. That's like the highest that any player can possibly be. I mean, I've seen 3K MMR, but that's pretty much exclusively drop hackers. I don't think there's any other way to get up there.
You see a few amateur players that are able to push that sort of 2700 range, but those guys are exceptionally good and they still get dominated by the pro gamers. So it's kind of scary, the range of players even at the highest of level.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we see a gas build here from Last. He's going to be pulling out something a little different here. Going to try and get a vulture on the map early on, I would say. We'll see if he wants to go for 2-port Wraith or maybe a single port or perhaps a mech build. Let's find out.
Well, yeah, I would say it's most likely a 1-1-1 build, although a 2-port Wraith would definitely be in his wheelhouse of build orders. But I think it's just going to be a 1-1-1 into expand, maybe Valkyrie build is quite likely.
Ooh, Action actually went 3 hatch before gas or pool. That's pretty interesting. Third hatchery is here in the main base. And the pool gas has just come up now. So this is going to be an interesting game from Action. He's going to have a lot of production here in the early game.
Yeah, this is basically the Zerg's equivalent of 14cc. It's not that uncommon that you see Zergs taking a hatchery first at 12 supply, but taking the third hatch before any pool or gas is a bit more unorthodox and a lot more in the greedy wheelhouse of things. So kind of like an eco cheese that the Zerg can pull out from time to time.
And this is going to work out really nicely for Action. He's going to make one sunken colony. He hasn't scouted the Terran, but it's going to perfectly counter the first vulture that's coming out here. And it's going to stop this Marine from dealing any damage as well. Action is just going to get a pretty decent lead here to start the game.
Yeah, he's going to get away with it, it looks like. Unless somehow the Marine can... No, the drone's going to come out and block any hopes that Marine had of shuffling over to the left-hand side before the Sunken was morphed in. He could do the same thing with the Vulture as well, denying the Vulture from getting behind the pocket of these minerals on the left-hand side.
Yeah, there is that little bit of space here that you could try to slide behind that natural minerals, those natural mineral patches, but pretty good placement overall of the Sunken. Actually, if I wanted to critique this a little bit, maybe put the Sunken just a little bit to the south of the hatchery, but it's still a pretty good spot. You're not going to be able to run by into the main base from here.
No, definitely not. And he does put the Hydra Den right out in front as well to force the Vulture to have to run all the way around that Hydra Den to get to the back of the minerals. So if he was doing like a 3 Vulture run by with speed, maybe there'd be some threat here, but I don't see the speed on the way for him yet. I do see the armory going down, so it looks like it's going to be a mech build.
A mech build. We haven't seen a lot of those as of late. It's kind of fallen out of style, but maybe it was popular when Last was playing in the ASL the last time. We'll see how he decides to utilize this build from a deficit. He's already behind in the economy. He's got his natural base up, but Action is equaling him on drones, which is never a good sign.
No. Well, he has so much more lava and economy at his disposal than he would usually have. One thing that's interesting is that it looks like Last wants to go for a 5-factory Goliath style of mech rather than like a double grade style of mech with a faster starport and tech timing. So it looks like he wants to try and kill Action as quickly as possible. And maybe even this Hydra Den being on the outside as it is has also kind of encouraged him to go down this line of thinking and not wanting to worry about getting tanks and instead trying to maybe do a 5-fact Goliath push. Would be interesting if he does pull the trigger on that.
Now that is possible. Aspire is going to finish up here pretty soon, so Action's going to start pumping out his Mutalisk here shortly. He's thrown down his third base with a Hydralisk on the ramp. That can hold back at least a couple of Vultures. Although if there are more than a couple, it's going to be a bit dicey. Ashley AK last heading around the top of the map, checking out these bases, making sure that there's no fourth base on the way here. He's not going to find anything. Action just keeping it tight. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, one thing interesting about fighting Spirit is like you do have a kind of easy access to your third as Zerg. Usually like the Vulture is able to really slow down and delay the third base, but with going the Hydralisks early on, it's a lot way easier to deny the Vulture from stopping you from expanding. So getting this third base up this quickly for Action is actually a pretty big deal, considering you went 3 hatch before pool. So not being denied that third base is quite critical, and he's already got the gas online at the third base ready to go. He's going to really ramp up his gas production to pump a lot of Mutalisks, and that would be a good response to the style of mech that we're seeing out of Last so far. Mainly pure Goliath with only 1 armory worth of upgrades. Like pure Mutalisk is pretty much the counter to this.
I don't think Action has seen anything from Ashley so far. He's just now going to come across the map with these mutas, and there's no turrets that have been built so far for Ashley. So
wow.
Just about, what is this, 8 Goliaths, but they're out of range of the mutas. They're gonna have to come down to the natural. The SCVs are being picked off en masse here. Ashley losing about 4 or 5 SCVs already. Gonna keep diving upon these, looking for some more hits here. Gonna fly now into the main base. There's no eBay here, so he's gonna lose even more SCVs. He can hide behind these mineral patches at least until the Charon boosters is done. He runs back. Looks like on the other side of the map, Ashley has managed to break through that one single Hydra. Just about losing the second Vulture there, but he's gonna get 2, maybe 3 kills. No, a third kill on that drone has been denied. More drones are going to come down here and start to mine this gas once again, and Action going to turn around and put the pressure back onto Ashley here. There's still no turrets, so he can definitely dive in on this and kill some of these SCVs if he wants to. Maybe go after some Goliaths as well. While the number's still low here, reducing that Goliath number is incredibly valuable.
He's going to come in right now. He has the perfect amount of mutas to easily one-shot these SCVs, and even if he loses a few mutas, he can still continue to one-shot these SCVs. He has reduced the economy of the Terran player so significantly that he's still on 3 factory production, hasn't had the extra resources needed to throw down those extra factories. And like, this is a dream situation for Action. When he flew in and started killing those SCVs, not only did he realize there was no turrets, but he realized that actually there wasn't even a second armory. So there's nothing to fear right now for him. He can just stay focused on his double upgrades. I don't know if you noticed this, but he made 2 spires during all of this. So now he's getting double upgrades. He's doubling down on these Mutalisks, and he understands that all I need to do right now is make Mutalisks, and I can just easily overpower this Terran.
Yeah, he's gonna get those double upgrades rolling here and continuously produce those Mutalisks. I'd love to see him try to sneak another base somewhere on the map as well. It's really hard in these situations for Terran to get out and actually stop you in every different location. He's going to send Lings out to clear out the mines here, but then a drone should be following shortly after. Yeah, here comes that drone. He's going to probably take the 12 o'clock here and just keep on pumping out mutas till the end of time. 6 more on the way here. The armor is about to finish up. Attack upgrade already done. He's going to fly right in here. There are some turrets now, but this is a lot of mutas. He's just going to go right in on top of this. Goliaths here are being taken down. This is a pretty crazy trade from Action.
He almost has enough mutas to start one-shotting Goliaths. If you can get up to 2 control groups of mutas with +1 upgrade, if you can handle microing 2 control groups of mutas at least somewhat adequately, you can actually start one-shotting the Terran units, and you can mop up these Goliath balls really efficiently. So having that +1 air attack can actually be a really big boon for the Zerg going forward, especially if you're comfortable microing more than 11 mutas simultaneously.
Coming back in for some more swipes here. Gonna pick off a few more workers. Down to just 50 workers here for Ashley. Still getting quite a few shots with the Charon boosters onto those mutas, so actually softening them up quite a bit. But it's just endless muta production for Action right now. He's gonna start his +2 attack. He's gonna start his +2 armor here as soon as that +1's done as well. And these are going to become formidable packs of mutas here very soon.
Yeah, I don't think that Last has it mapped out that this armor upgrade will be finishing this soon after the attack upgrade was done. So he will not be expecting this kind of power spike coming out of Action going forward. He has now got his full 5-fact Goliath production up online. A tank has also been made so that he can do a push eventually. Muta's now coming back into the natural just as he starts to shimmy his Goliaths out and are starting to target down. But I think it's actually a little bit too much damage for Action to be weathering right now. I think he's mainly trying to keep the Terran pinned in his base, but at the expense of quite a lot of hit points and a few lost mutas. So he needs to be a little bit careful he doesn't trade too many of those mutas away for map control. He's so close to getting online to the perfect amount of mutas that he needs to completely swallow up this army. We do have a Queen's Nest on the way, going to be going into Hive so he can keep his grades going, maybe even get out some more tech units later on.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't started +2 armor just yet. Kind of lacking in those resources for now. There it is. It's going to start a little bit later, but as soon, all he needs to do is really buy time for these upgrades to finish, because we don't have a starport here for Ashley. He's just building a ton of turrets. He's just sitting in his base. These turrets are not going to help him kill Action at all, and they're not going to help him get into a higher tier of upgrades. He's just going to be sitting here on 1-1 potentially for the rest of this game, and eventually Action is going to get into 2-2. And that's when the mutas really start to trade well against these Goliaths.
Yeah, and Action's going to start spreading on the map like a virus, so Terran does have to come out soon and start putting some pressure on the Zerg. I think he has enough mutas that he can fight this, especially if he can catch the Goliaths a bit unawares. And what looks like is going to happen is he's going to fly into the main base right as Terran wants to move out. Let's see if the Terran wants to try and do a counter, or if the Terran's going to be forced to. Yeah, Terran wants to just counter. So the mutas are going to fly into the main base and just try and kill the command center, but the Goliaths are all just going to streamline across to the other side of the map. And good repair on the CC, going to be denying that from coming down. If he wanted to go for a play like this, he should have played a Queen with these mutas so that they could just smite down the command center to half HP, infest the command center, and then get out quickly without the repair becoming a factor. But instead, he's going to be having to receive a huge counterattack as these Terran Goliaths start streamlining into the natural expansion of Action. There's not a lot in the main base, just 7 mutas and this 1 sunken against quite a few control groups of these Goliaths and a few tank support as well. Mutas instead just going to be focusing down the command center in the natural base of the Terran player. Hasn't yet retreated, and this is an actual typical situation you see in a lot of mech games where it kind of gets a bit base tradey, where you kind of start sacrificing bases as Zerg and kind of just trying to kill the Terran production off as much as possible and affect its economy, while you're kind of mitigating how much damage you're doing a little bit of damage control, not losing too much too quickly, and starting throwing down your tech and sunkens at other bases. It can work for Zerg a lot going for this style, but it also can come back to bite him. We now see Action going on top of the Terran production of the factories, but it's not going to work out for him. He's going to have to get out of there.
He just barely finished off that +2 attack upgrade. It finished like a second before last managed to kill that Spire. So he's got 2 attack upgrades done now. He never started the Hive. He's going to start another Spire here at the 3rd base and come back and try to take this fight here. With that 2nd attack upgrade, he's got a 1 upgrade advantage. Maybe he can just mop up this force while actually sitting back at home with, you know, no natural base. He's only gone 1 base mining. His minerals are starting to dry up, and Action is spreading out all over the map. He's starting to really put down more Spires. Another Spire going down in the bottom right, and he's gonna grab this gas here as well. More and more mutas are going to be hatching. He's waiting for a higher mass here. We've actually got 3 Spires coming up right now. There's 1 at 12, 1 at the bottom right, and 1 at the center right. So he is committed to mutaless play. He's going to start some more upgrades, and he's going to just keep pumping out here as many mutas as he possibly can. This army is looking a little bit small now. Ashley trying to filter out of the main base. Will he get pounced upon here by Action as he enters the middle?
Well, he can't let these 2 forces of Goliaths meet up, or then the game will be just purely impossible to win from there. So he has to pick one of these armies to fight. It looks like he's going to try and fight the smaller army that's trying to move out now, which probably is the better play, to take out this slightly smaller Terran force. He can overwhelm these Goliaths and drain their numbers without actually committing or losing too many mutas in the process. So you can snipe off some of these Goliaths, prevent the reinforcement of the Terran player, and then go back to trying to deal with these large Terran forces out there. Mech is extremely immobile, Saiyan, so he can exploit the fact that it takes so long for Last to get these Terran units around the map, and that's why you see this sort of like island style Zerg that he's elected to choose, because he has to get around the map. It takes him so long to kill off all these bases, and that's why we also see those 3 Spires made at multiple locations, so he can still pump out a few of these Force Mutas, and eventually the Terran player is going to be mined out in his base in just a few seconds. And if he can't secure this natural expansion with his Goliaths, he will not be mining. So Action is kind of trying to figure out a win condition here.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head here. You absolutely cannot be splitting up your units, and it's going to take a long time to wander this whole army around the map and try to find those bases. The base in the bottom right is up and mining. The base at the top center is up and mining. You have to choose one of these locations to attack, but you have to send your whole army to attack it. You cannot just be splitting it up. Now, coming back into the natural once again, Action going to try and break the natural here, try to stop this mining once again. Shutting that down would be huge because there's just no mining otherwise on the map for Ashley. He's killing a ton of workers here. Wow, look at those glaives just ripping the workers apart, down to just 28. And finally, Ashley has combined his forces here. A small group of Goliaths hitting up at 12 o'clock, but eventually the mutas are going to come back and clear that out. Let's see how many drones can die before that happens.
Yeah, Lars is doing a good job of target firing the drones. I would have loved to have seen Action actually evacuate those drones to the right and then come in with the mutas, so he also saved those drones and could replenish mining back onto that base sooner. Doesn't really matter. He's doing a great job of outmaneuvering the Terran right now. The Terran's in a really sticky situation because he needs to defend this base from being harassed so he can still mine, but that means he can't send out any forces to attack any of these bases that we have scattered around the map for Action. So Action's now going to start taking more gases, squeezing out a few more drones here and there, increasing his muta production yet again, while Terran, being reduced to only one base worth of production, is going to struggle to get out the Goliath count that he needs to be able to get out on the map with a critical force.
Yeah, look at this Action cheeky bugger taking the center left base. That's the closest base to Ashley. That should be his potential third base, but he's going to go ahead and snag that, start to mine gas from that location, and use that to pump up this muta force and eventually just crush Ashley's Goliath army here if Ashley isn't able to get out on the map and start to deny some of these bases. Looks like a vulture finds this location, will kill 2 drones, but this is a really hard base to crack. He's just going to evacuate the drones, actually. Not going to sit here on high ground and try to fight down on the Goliaths coming up to this location unless a small enough group is sent up here by Ashley, and it is pretty small. Just sending a pittance of his force here. Very, very small Goliath force. Easy pickings here for Action. He's going to back away as soon as the rest of the forces make their way up this ramp.
Yeah, he can just use this as a bait base now to pull the Terran out of position. As you can see, the Terran is committed to having to send his whole army up here to attack it, and now he can just sweep into the natural and fight the few Goliaths that are remaining here, forcing the Terran to split up his army to deal with these bases, and then just coming in on one of the locations to deal with the smaller force. So really exceptional execution from Action here, kind of showing you textbook ways of dealing with a Terran mech.
Going after the SCVs, dropping them down to just 17 after that attack. Action continuously producing mutas around the map. I don't know if he can actually upgrade from here. He probably needs to build a spawning pool and a layer before he can start his second armor upgrade once again.
Right.
But focusing
exactly that, Sam.
Focusing majority on making more mutilas. He knows that his opponent is close to death here with only 18 SCVs. He's not going to be able to replenish this army to the same level as he was before. And what's left on the map right now probably can't beat these mutas anyway. He's going to come back in towards the natural. This is the win condition here. Just stop the mining of the Terran. Eventually, you'll be able to mop up these forces. There's too many bases around the map to deal with.
He has like 3 control groups of mutas now. There's just no way. We're going to get into another base trade scenario, but that's going to be favoring Action. There's no way that Lars can get around the map quick enough to kill and do that sort of whack-a-mole style we saw in the first game. With that superior mobility of the bio units, they can kind of handle getting around the map in small numbers and taking out those bases for auxiliary forces. But in this situation with these big sluggish units that kind of need to sit together to even have a chance at beating this big flock of mutas, it's kind of been a nightmare situation for Lars going forward. I think he's going to have to tap out of this game eventually, because I think that Action's found his win condition and is going to kind of put him into a bit of a snooker here.
Yeah, he's going to come back again, pick off the reinforcements of Ashley. As soon as all of these Goliaths die, we'll probably see Ashley tap out, because this is half his force fighting the entire force of Action. Going to clear that up. Action just not even caring about his base in the center right. He's laughing in the chat at Ashley's pitiful attempts to destroy his bases. And another base coming up here in the top right. He's going to retake his main now. Yeah, Action, he's got so much money coming in at the moment. It's at 123 supply, just 47. Very little chance that Ashley would have a shot of taking him down at this point. With all of these mutas being brought together, I think it's time to finally crush this main force.
Yeah, I think it's about time. He has just about enough to crush it very efficiently as well. There's no way these Goliaths can win this fight, even just on attack move with these mutas. So he's going to try his best to target fire and shuffle his Goliaths back a little bit. And usually it can seem like it's hard to tell who's going to win the fight, where it looks like the mutas start losing the fight, but then they start winning the fight. But in this case, when there's this much of an advantage, they look like they're winning the fight all the way from the start. And that's how you know just how far behind the Terran is.
Yeah, Terran long distance mining now. Losing the tanks over here in the center right. You're not going to be able to take this game. Looks like he's telling him which bases he has. He has 11. He's got 12. He's got 1, 5, and 9 right now. Actually, he does not have 9 anymore. But he did snag a lot of bases around the map. GGO, he taps out. And Action gets his vengeance, takes him down, and ends that game.
Wow, what game.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this little mini series here between Action and potentially Last, aka Ashley. We had a lot of fun here today, and I hope you did too. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in the next cast.